Hello, this is Richard C. Wilson with the Family Office Club, and today we have a member spotlight video with S.L. van der Zanden, who is a CPA and co-founder and managing principal and CEO of CapRock Real Estate. In 2008, at the depth of the great financial crisis, to act as a court-appointed receiver and manager for special servicers of defaulted CMB assets. Today, the firm focuses on implementing high-touch asset management execution of business plans for 1.5 million square foot private investor-owned retail properties. So welcome to the Member Spotlight video here, SL.
Thanks, Richard.
Great, and I want to start out with a one-liner on really what your firm does. I read off your bio and some of the backgrounds. People know you have a deep special servicer experience, which if people don't know, it means you've dealt with workout situations, you've dealt probably with banks taking over assets, you've dealt with assessing situations where things went sideways unexpectedly, which, since we saw each other last has become a more important skill set in the world. But if you want to share kind of the one sentence kind of description of really what CapRock is all about and what you're focused on as a firm, I think that'd be great to share.
Okay. So CapRock is a vertically integrated firm, 12 years experience, 5.2 million feet of commercial real estate that we've managed and many times turned around during that time frame. We developed a contrarian view regarding retail real estate and now focus on acquisitions of assets with Amazon-resistant tenants and long-term growth dynamics.
Okay, great. So let's unpack that a little bit. Amazon resistant is a word that we talked about at one of our investor summits last year that you were at. I remember talking about that on stage and digging into that a little bit. And one of the investors on stage liked that term that you used because the herd mentality is that, retail, the Bed Bath & Beyond, the Sears of the world are getting killed. So how do you invest in retail? What are some examples of Amazon resistant businesses that are kind of classic go-tos that you look to for like anchors or tenants within a retail shopping center?
So from a category standpoint, we do it like this. We talk about food, fitness, fun, medical, entertainment, and service providers. So as I like to say, anything that you can't put in a box and ship, is pretty resistant to takeover by Amazon, but they're creative people, and who knows what will ultimately happen. But an interesting thing that's happening that is sort of counterintuitive that you may or may not have noticed is companies like Warburg Parker, who have a big online presence were built on the internet and have fabulous service and quality and all that, have opened up stores now in at least the major cities. Like I'm in Chicago, we have several here, and are now attracting customers through brick and mortar stores, getting fitted maybe and measured, but ultimately the glasses come through the internet and then get fitted. So, and obviously Amazon has stores. So there's plenty of other examples of this reverse migration of retail out of the internet into brick and mortar. So it's a very dynamic situation.
Sure. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up is that I have a lot of my investors asking for things that have income behind it and good income. And if you go with where millions of other private investors are flooding into assets, it kind of beats down the income because the cap rates get lower and then, it's producing less cash. So what is kind of an expectation set for what you would think is a moderate risk or a relatively low risk retail center investment? What's the cash flow range that you're seeing? Because there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are familiar with multifamily or office park cash flows or self-storage maybe, but they don't know for the deals that you guys look at what that income looks like.
Right. So on the very safe end, AAA credit, just perfect location, everything's right. Maybe it would go sub 6%.
Okay.
Maybe to 5.5%, but virtually everything is above 6%. A decent, solid retail center is at least a 7 cap now. And now, at least in the central US, we're seeing deals, and we have one tied up right now at above 8% yields. So, and you compare that to the other asset classes, the only ones that are higher yields are seriously more risky, like power centers and regional malls. But virtually all other categories, unless you go to Class C, are lower yielding than retail.
Last question here is just if you were to provide advice to someone investing into any type of commercial real estate or into retail, because that's where you have a deep specialty focus here, and it was, say, an investor looking for your number one piece of advice or an advice that really they shouldn't have to learn the hard way if they would heed your advice here on this video interview, what would that be?
My number one piece of advice would be to find a truly experienced professional advisor or sponsor or partner to guide you through the process, because there's so many places that you can trip up, and it takes a long time. It's just trial and error, and to build that knowledge and the experience to know where to look to find the problems.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm glad that you brought that up because there's like 500 little nuances to any business.
Yeah.
And it's not just about getting a great deal. I mean, if the team can't execute together, if you can't execute the plan, if you don't have a plan, if it's not a good plan, wrong type of debt, wrong partners, wrong location. I mean, you could go on for a whole day workshop on how to mess up a real estate deal that I'm sure you could do a full day workshop just on 100 ways to lose money if you're not careful on a real estate deal, right? So,
and that's exactly how we ended up specializing in retail. It was accidental in the sense that we had a lot of properties we managed that were retail. And then over time, because we were working with distress, we worked out a lot of those issues and realized that we liked the asset. We liked working with that style of tenant, the way the leases work, the maintenance requirements of the assets. So they're not as complex as an office building or capital intensive, but you also get a relatively high yield for them. So we specifically then decided to focus on retail, and then specifically decided to focus on strip centers that have the kind of tenants I've discussed, the Amazon resistant.
Sure. Great. And what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they're not already in direct contact? What's the best way to find you online or reach out to you?
So the best way, our domain name is CapRock, and then RE for realestate.com. And all my information's there, bio, all about all the aspects of the firm, because we do have management and leasing and sales too that help support the assets we buy.
Great.
But it's all there.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, SL, and hope to see you at one of our investor summits again soon. Take care.
I will.